Hello and welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andrej,
And I'm Patrick, nickname Sklar.
and thanks so much for tuning in.
Anytime.
This is game 2 of the first matchup of the BD Cosmos Summer Kit 3. This is the third summer kit that we had this year at BD Cosmos, which is nuts. That's pretty cool.
It is.
It allowed us to play a lot of Netrunner at like medium stakes.
Right.
Which is a pretty good level to play Netrunner at. Like, there's high stakes Netrunner, which is exciting Netrunner.
It's a stressful game at its most basic,
Yeah.
and not having to play for, say, your arm
Yeah,
is
yeah.
nice. Like the last one I did
Oh.
at Randolph, I think.
Yeah, people lost arms.
I'm still missing a finger. I'm trying to get it back from Benoit, but
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
he's a great player.
Why this tournament was interesting was this is the first tournament that Data and Destiny, the new deluxe expansion for Android Netrunner, had just come out, and
Right.
this is the first tournament in which we were allowed to crack out cards.
Yep.
This was the street legal tournament. Some of us had it already from
Gen Con?
Yeah, Gen Con. Which I was lucky enough to be playing with these cards for a while now. So let's actually see what they can do in a tournament setting.
Right. In the last game, we saw these two players. That's Nadim on the right and Scott on the left, playing as Sync and Wizard, respectively.
That's correct.
And that was a great game featuring a lot of new D&D cards.
This is probably a bit less of a Data and Destiny type matchup. We're gonna see what kind of cards do bleed into the standard decks.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah. So on the right, Nadim is playing Kate. That is a Kate identity. It's a bit there's a bit of glare going on with those non-matte sleeves. This is just like a standard, really competitive, real low variance and high performance prepaid Kate deck. And we're going to see what kind of cards were slotted into here from Data and Destiny. Maybe
Right.
Nadim had some cool choices. I think from a distance, maybe some of Sunny's breakers actually can make it into to a prepaid
For
deck.
sure. I like Sherman. I like Shrike.
I think Shrike is Shrike the killer?
Shrike is the killer.
Okay, I can't remember between Shrike and Striker. I think Shrike actually probably does have a role in these decks.
Yeah.
On the left, Scott is playing Titan. We surprisingly see a lot of Titan on this channel. I want to say half of it is probably me.
Right? You have a little bit of a love affair with Titan.
Titan is so much fun, and maybe it's because I'm one of those combo type players that I love the Atlas token. I like the
Right.
17 influence. I still am a big diehard Wayland fan, even though
Oh, me
Wayland
too, me
might
too.
be in some of the a poorer state.
You know I love Gagrin, and we
Yeah.
both talked about how we love what Sansan brought to Wayland. Even
Yeah.
if a lot of people say it's not in a good space right now.
It's not, but I think the Sansan cycle did a lot for it.
Right.
A lot of really good ice, and probably not the most exciting ice, but real good economic ice, real strong end the runs,
Yep.
stuff like that. Good assets, agendas. Wow, we got a real good agenda.
Most of my favorite agendas in the game are in Wayland.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
was thinking about that recently, and it's definitely true.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see how this matchup plays out. Kate, which is a real top tier deck, I would say prepaid, probably one of the most reliable, strong runners. You see it everywhere.
Absolutely. It's been around for a while. Well, ever since prepaid and what's that? Lucky Find.
Yeah, Lucky Find was a big deal. It's gonna do up against this Titan. The exciting thing about Titan is with that identity, you can only tell that there's gonna be 3 cards for sure in the deck, and there's gonna be 3 copies of Project Atlas.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm gonna say. So it's always really exciting to see what a Titan Transnational deck is. Let us see what Scott is gonna do.
Yep.
Titan has, I think, a couple options you want to always think early game. The strength of Wayland is the Sea Source Scorch combo.
Right. It is scary. You have to respect it.
And this is something you have to respect. You can't run with very little cards in hand or very little money. And I think Prepaid Kate probably won't have the biggest problem. Play one Lucky Find, you're probably good for a bit.
She's going to be very wealthy, and he's going to play Professional Contacts first, which is something that I think is very popular in Montreal. I don't see it a lot in other places.
Which is really weird, because knowing how good Proco is and seeing Proco so much, I don't know what's better. Maybe I'm just convinced that this is so good. There's a couple decks I've seen, really good high tier decks around Montreal that are actually starting to run, I think, 3 Proco, because you want to see that, you'll
Yep.
mulligan for that almost, and also 1 Hostage just as the 4th Proco, which is, I think, really great. Getting Proco at turn 1 is huge, because that is going to be making you money for the entire game.
Right. It's tremendous.
It's tremendous. You could, if that is dropped to something like
Symmetrical visage.
Right. I mean, if you lose it to like a making news or something like that,
Oh, I
or
see.
breaking
Sorry.
news, I
Yeah.
mean, that is a tempo hit. But late game, you've probably already got your Proco worth.
Right.
So we'll see what we can do there. Nadim did install the clone chip, even without any cards in the heap,
Well,
let
he's
alone
Kate.
in programs.
You want to be using Kate's abilities as often as you can.
Yep.
Once per turn, ideally.
Yeah, so you have a once per turn, you save a credit, so I think you want to, as much as possible, use that. It's like clicking for a credit at the same time of installing, which is basically like another click. If you want to look at it like that,
Right.
I think you really want to use that. Scott does have out an unprotected Jackson and an ice on an empty remote. This could say a couple of things. Firstly, that he has an agenda he wants to score next turn.
Right.
So maybe this is something that Nadim can poise for. Maybe make sure he has breakers in hand, make sure he has his money up.
Absolutely.
I think against Wayland, you might want to consider trashing the Jackson just because Wayland, especially Titan, does involve combo pieces.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Titan is very likely to have a combo kind of deck.
Lucky Find is going to be some of that strong economy that prepaid Kate is packing.
Right. This is just paid Kate.
Yeah, just paid Kate at this point. Those prepaids haven't shown up. I am very interested to see the kind of numbers of what kind of economy you save by finding that prepaid turn 1 versus finding it turn 10. Turn 5 probably is more reasonable considering you have 3 of them. Scott looks like he's going to take a credit and going to capitalize on that server that he has installed, put something behind that piece of ice, and another server. So I would hope that that is the early Atlas. I think as Titan, you want that Atlas as soon as possible.
Absolutely.
Just
you will
because
do anything to make sure that Atlas is out there. Because
you really will.
So much potential.
And that's kind of a bit of the problem, I think, where Titan, not Titan, where Wayland is right now, is you don't have, I don't think Wayland can do the late game so well in a lot of builds that are popular. Perhaps there's something yet to be discovered. But without any in-faction real defensive upgrades, without a Caprice, without an Ash,
right.
Late game is really difficult to go up against something like Prepaid Kate that has sustained economy, really efficient breakers, really strong multi-access.
So we're seeing a run.
Yeah, you want to poke that server, and a Mother Goddess is going to be rezzed, and that is
really cool early game ice, of course.
Yeah, I think it's still good late game, mid game, late game. I think it's a great piece of ice, but early game is where it really shines. That extra server out there is going to be a public support, another really good new Wayland card. This card I've seen a lot of play. You've probably played it a lot in Gagarin.
Yep, I do like it in Gagarin. It's one of my favorite Wayland cards to come out recently.
So this gives Wayland the ability to score an agenda point, a single agenda point, which you can use for rezzing things like Archer.
Yep.
Or a corporate town even. And without taking a bad pub, because I think that's a big problem with Gagarin, is that you don't want to get a bad pub because that negates your identity in a lot of ways.
Public support puts pressure on the runner without putting an agenda out there, which is really nice. Yeah. I think that's Wayland's thing now, is letting them know when there's an agenda and when there's not.
Right.
But making sure it's going to be pressure either way.
Yeah, so that's really cool. You just have to make sure you can capitalize on that pressure.
Right.
Plasticrete is going to come out, which is
oh boy,
a safe bet. So against Wayland does have Scorched Earth. Wayland does have Punitive Counterstrike, Traffic Accident, all the meat damage cards, just about all of them. So you still don't know what's going on in Scott's deck, but installing that Plasticrete for only 2 credits with Kate ability is probably a safe bet.
Right. So Scott he spent all his money to get that Project Atlas out there.
Right.
I think that's still okay.
Yeah, it's a really interesting play. So the Project Atlas is going to give you a tutor. With that tutor, you can get cards back that are going to help with your economy, that are going to be combo cards. Maybe you can just start chaining Atlases behind that Mother Goddess.
That's what a lot of people do with Titan.
Which is really a good thing to do. Without the money, though, those centrals are going to be a bit porous. R&D interface is going to come out.
This is a brutal run.
Followed by Maker's Eye. 0 credits, not going to be able to res. So we're going to see 4 cards off the top of R&D.
Right.
And likely to be an agenda, it's usually 1 in 5. Caduceus and Scorched Earth.
And Enforcer, that's pretty cool. Oh, 2 influence.
And the Sea Source. So we do see some influence off there.
So he does have the meat damage package.
Yeah, there's the meat damage package with the Sea Scorch. Enforcer seems to be another card included. You can expect Archers probably with that public support. But Nadim, not finding what he wants, is going to chop at that HQ. See what he can find there. Single access. You do have a chance. I think early game, especially with some Jackson draws, there could be an agenda in there. It's a 6 is a reroll. A second Caduceus
I never roll a die.
Really?
Never. I look into their eyes. Doesn't matter if they shuffled or not.
Yeah.
I will say something to them and just see how they quiver.
Yeah.
Or if they don't.
So the way that I've seen, and this is just protection for myself, is that if I notice that the corporation isn't shuffling their HQ, I will roll a die.
Okay.
Because that means they can't play me. It looks like we're going to use Project Atlas.
Combining randomness with randomness.
Yeah.
Fighting fire with a dice roll.
So with 0 credits, what do you pull?
Yeah.
That's
I think he'll go for economy.
definitely economy. I'm pretty sure economy. Oh, you could go for the corporate town. There's not too much to trash right now. You could get rid of the Proco, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That could be decent. But it looks like we're going to go for that capital's investors. Get out that Shark Tank. Now,
I'm going to call it Dragon's Den.
yeah, in Canada, we would call Shark Tank Dragon's Den.
Yep.
That's what it is on the CBC.
Yep.
It's on CBC, right?
I think it's on
I
CBC.
think it sounds like it
My
should be
parents
on
watch
CBC.
it.
Yeah.
They're a big fan.
They're probably into it. So that is a way to get money. I have no doubt that's going to go behind a Mother Goddess, and that's going to be protected. Clicking for credits is 2 credits a click is obviously really good.
Oh, yeah.
It's obviously really
It's
good.
good, reliable money. And it looks like he's installed what is probably the Dragon's Den behind that Mother Goddess.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd like to thank tonight's sponsor, Dragon's Den, on CBC on Sunday.
It's probably like Wednesday at 8. That sounds about right.
That sounds right. After dinner, sure.
Yeah. Okay. The only problem right now with using that Atlas token is Scott has shoveled his R&D, which means those top 4 cards, which he could have bet, well, he knew
they weren't agendas.
not agendas, are now reshuffled. So with that RDI, Nadim can just walk in probably and see the top 2 cards off of R&D.
Right. That is a scary proposition here.
That is a scary proposition, and it looks like Nadim is aware of that shuffle.
Right, and that's the smart choice.
Ice is not going to get res, so we can assume it's more than 2 credits.
Ooh.
Hostile is going to be stolen from Nadim.
Definitely something Scott would have wanted.
Yeah, and I think at 2 credits, that's exactly what you needed, especially followed by a hedge fund.
Right.
That's all the money that you'd want. And Nadim now on the board, 1 to 2 points, and we are off. So, Plaskreet, you're pretty much good for against a whole lot of Scott's deck, I think, right now.
Right.
As long as you don't dip in credits, as long as you don't dip less than 3 cards in hand.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the cards in Scott's deck might be dead now, unless he has a way to address hardware. And I think there are a couple of decent ways to deal with it.
Taurus, there's a few options.
I think Shattered Remains is actually really good.
Shattered Remains is a really solid trap.
Especially in a deck where you would expect probably an install advance. It's a really nice way to get rid of a console and rid of an RDI, rid of a Plaskreet Carapace.
For sure.
Do you try and trash the Dragons Den, the Shark Tank? Do you get rid of that?
It's probably not worth the effort right now.
I think most green decks, the way that they deal with a typeless ice is either through Parasite, which is a long-term solution.
Yep.
And or through Atman. And this is Atman at 4, which largely is a good Atman.
Usually where Atman is going to end up.
Against Eli, generally. Yep. But I don't think Wayland needs Eli, considering they already have good barriers.
No, but Atman at 4 is just a regular thing to do.
Yeah, Atman at 4 is still Atman at 4. With Data Suckers, that does let you through an Archer.
Yeah. And I think the easier way to deal with Mother Goddess right now is just make him res other ice. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. 6 credits, no res on R&D. That means that's probably an expensive piece of ice. Is going to see a Scorched, yeah, and another public support. It looks like 3 public support is probably going to suggest that there are 3 Archers and some amount of Enforcers we've seen already.
Yeah. That's an interesting... I like the idea of a deck that it sets out to get useless agenda points and then,
just to,
then
res
crazy ice that no one sees coming.
So I still haven't had the opportunity to playtest Enforcer. And Enforcer is a really interesting Biroid. It's only 1 credit to res, which is pretty nuts. You do have to sacrifice an agenda.
But that 1 credit makes it kind of worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's very situational, but it works against a number of different situations.
Yeah, it has 4 subs and it's 5 strength and it's a sentry. So that's pretty hard to deal with. Yep. However, some of the subs might not actually ever matter if they fire.
If you don't have your console out.
Yeah, 1 trashes a console, 1 trashes all virtual resources.
Right. Trash 1 program and do 1 brain damage.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Which the virtual resources thing is particularly good against, say, like maybe that will work well against DLR decks because all those DLRs are virtual. I don't know what else. The shards are virtual. I worry about those. Right. I think Xanadu and Ice Carver might be virtual. Those are annoying. It looks like Scott is going to res that public support.
Yeah, put a little pressure on.
Put a bit of pressure on with 10 credits in prepaid Kate. Finance isn't that big of a deal. You did see Nadim discard that sharpshooter into the heap. So now if...
I think he did that so it wasn't in hand.
Exactly. You don't want that in hand because now with the clone chip, if Scott does pay 4 credits and sacrifice an agenda just to res an Archer, I think it's going to cost like 2 to 3 credits to break with the sharpshooter.
Right. The problem with Shapers having so many 1-ofs is that once you draw it into your hand, it's much less useful as a card to you as a Shaper.
Yeah, you either want it in your heap, your stack, or on the board.
Right.
Now we're at 10 credits each. I think Scott will be able to outpace the econ of prepaid Kate if prepaid Kate still needs to install things and make runs.
And still haven't seen that prepaid voice pad. It's still just a paid Kate.
Yeah, this is just paid Kate. Actually, as far as I know, it might not be prepaid.
Maybe it's just a Proco Kate.
Could be Proco Kate. An upgrade is going to go into that server.
Cool.
This might be the beginning of defensive upgrades, which I think Wayland might need if you want to go for the Glacier route.
Yep. Could be Ash, which takes advantage of Wayland's money.
Yeah.
So long as Scott can keep up the money.
Yeah. So Nadim does have a Maker's Eye in hand. With 10 credits, Scott might be at the point where he can res that HQ ice.
Yeah. I'm thinking it might be one of those forfeit an agenda ice.
Yeah, it probably is considering the way he's playing. I don't think you want to sacrifice an Archer.
No, an Atlas.
Yeah, Atlas.
I have done that, but you do it when you're very sure it will win you the game.
Yes.
And when your opponent is 11 credits with playing Shaper, then it will not.
With the Sharpshooter insight.
Yeah.
So right now, if the Shaper can keep up the pressure on R&D, which will be helped a lot by the Maker's Eye.
That is pressure on R&D.
We're going to see a couple cards. Let's see if Scott is going to be able or choose to res more accurately.
He's got 10 credits, but maybe his whole plan is in that Mother Goddess right now.
So the public support we've seen before, but 3 more cards are going to be shown. Punitive Counterstrike, so there's a lot more meat damage in this deck. Data Raven, another 4 strength ice for the admin, if we want to do that. And
there's
an
another
Enforcer.
Maybe the same Enforcer.
Could be the same Enforcer, as far as we know.
So he has a lot of meat damage.
Right. And
Punitives and Scorch so far.
So that's the problem that I've seen playing with Wayland and when you play with meat damage. And generally a lot of the time, I don't like doing both Scorched and Punitive, because as soon as there's a Plascrete or 2 on the table, 6 cards out of your 49 probably deck slot is done. You
could argue that those 3 to 6 cards in your Wayland deck are forcing them to put 2 cards in theirs and spend money and time.
Yeah, it totally is a meta call.
Yeah, it's a meta call. It's sort of just a way of changing the tempo of the game. It makes Wayland's rush a little bit more threatening.
Yes.
It means you have to rush to get the Plascrete out.
Yeah, and Titan is super scary if you can score that Atlas while keeping a good bank up.
It makes it sort of a staged rush, where there's the first stage where the runner's scared of being killed.
Yeah.
And the second stage is just Wayland hoping they can score.
Right. 3 clicks on the Investors is going to get 6 credits, which is pretty good money, all things being said.
Right. And that public support has not been taken care of yet. Maybe this is the turn.
Yeah, with 1 power token left, power counter left on that card, I think that's the turn where you're forced to go trash it.
For sure.
So we see there in Nadim's hand, he does have the Lady.
Yep.
Which is a big help against a lot of ice.
Right. Spiderweb is a good help against Lady.
Yeah, that's true. Stacking barriers is a pretty decent strategy.
Yeah, dog types are weak against spiders.
Yeah,
I remember that from my Pokemon days.
Yeah. Public support is going to get the trash for just 4 credits. I think with that Plascrete out, you're not scared of losing that much money off of something like a Sea Scorch.
Right.
So as a Shaper right now, I think I just want to establish, you have such good R&D lock, I think you just keep it up.
Absolutely. And R&D lock would also maybe eventually help deal with the Mother Goddess indirectly.
Yeah, that's true. Because that's the thing, if you can establish this kind of R&D lock, there's no way for the corporation to score. Right. The only possibility right now is through something like a fast track, which can't be trashed.
Right.
Or if Scott wants to be just real confident and trash that Jackson either immediately before his turn starts or midway through his turn so he can start drawing fresh cards and maybe get something.
That's what I'm wondering if might happen.
Data Sucker is going to come out, which without contesting resing ice on any of the central servers might get out of hand.
Right.
There's probably a Parasite
and then a Parasite might insta-kill that Mother Goddess when Scott least wants it.
Yeah. Looks like we got another server out there. I would expect the public support that was drawn 1 or 2 turns ago.
Yep.
Returning to those investors.
Getting more money. Kevin O'Leary is being very generous this episode. No, Kevin!
Kevin! Looks like we're going to be done with that and something is going to go into that server. So now this is the big gamble. He gets a nice little
did he wave?
Ominous jazz hands.
Hello.
Yeah, you can see. Can he come in?
He's such a good actor.
Hey, if you haven't checked out LARPs, by the way, oh man, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. Their 2nd season just wrapped up. It's on Geek and Sundry, which is a YouTube channel. You can check it out. So this is the big question: is can Nadim get through that Mother Goddess?
Right.
With 13 credits, I know for sure he can. With an SMC into Atman into Break, that upgrade is going to make a big.
Oh, there we go. That's exactly.
Swing. But the Atman from hand, that's actually
it's cheaper.
That's better. So Atman is going to get a die of 4 on there for 7 credits. We're going to break that Mother Goddess for 1.
And we're going to see what that upgrade is.
And that's a grid. Hey.
Yes.
So All Hollywood Grid is a real cool upgrade. It stops you from stealing agenda unless you have another copy of that agenda. The only problem is that Nadim has the finances to trash that and come back, considering he's only bringing Mother Goddess for one.
That is true, but
It is
kudos Scott, because that is awesome.
So let's see what's going to go on here.
Oh, he's got the film critic in hand. That is
that's real
difficult
rough
to see. Oh, you hate to see it.
And that's the question now, is that you can either... I'm not sure how many clicks Nadim has left. This might be his last click coming up. So in theory, you could just install the film critic and run if
ignore
you had
the
another
old
click.
Hollywood.
And just ignore the old Hollywood. Or right now he has a choice to trash it and then run again. That will put him down to only, I think, 1 credit.
Right.
Looks like he's going to trash that.
Trash it and probably run again.
And probably come back. Yeah, it looks like he did pay already to come back.
Oh.
Or no, he paid too much, so... I think he's just looking at the trash cost.
Right, it res for 5.
Trash for 4.
Spend for 4.
Yeah.
Fans of this channel will know I'm a big fan of Old Hollywood Grid.
Yeah, hey, there's a really cool game that we posted before, you and I playing, where you've done some real damage with Old Hollywood Grid against Gang Sign.
Yeah, and I've gotten better at playing that deck since we played it, but that was a really fun game anyway. It was me versus your Laramie Fisk.
Yeah, that's a fun deck. Gonna run back in there and obviously take that Project Atlas. Yep. You don't want the runner to have that. And now 3 credits to 3 agenda points to 2. With 1 credit, it is a bit harder to make some money, but of course, professional contacts.
Right.
And
he's
that's
not going to be poor for long.
Yeah, prepaids would help in that case. Still, we don't know if this is a prepaid deck. I'm assuming it is. But yeah, you're not going to stay poor for long, and that does give you a window to put up that public support.
Right.
Does stress out the runner's econ a bit.
A bit of a window.
Yeah, that's a small window. So now Scott doesn't know there's a film critic. Right. We don't know how many Old Hollywood Grids he has.
Yeah, we've been whispering, right?
Yeah, we have been.
Okay.
Relatively. So now that server, I think that 4 cost server is a bit nullified. This does allow him to res other ice without having any problems.
Yeah, he can totally res other ice now.
Which seems like it would be important.
He can res all his other 4 strength. Oh no! No, I'm sure he has a wide variety of ice.
Yeah. Spiderweb has been drawn.
There we go.
That is good. That is below the Atman and would tax lady tokens. That's half a lady for every break, which is, if you can stack 2 of those, that becomes nightmarish for runners. There's this really interesting problem against Shapers, and the idea is, say they have an admin force, say they have a femmed piece of ice. Do you trash over that piece of ice? And a lot of the times, I don't know if you should, just because it ties up that fem and ties up the admin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think admin at 2 might do more damage.
And they might scavenge that fem.
Exactly. That's the thing. You would scavenge that fem as soon as...
It depends how deep that server is, how much ice you're spending to overcome.
And for your economy. But I think it's not always
No, I usually wouldn't unless I feel like it's a good decision, which I guess is how I make most of my decisions.
Yeah.
Now that I say it out loud,
if it's a good decision,
I make a judgment
you decide.
call.
Yeah. And hey, there you go. There's that dirty laundry. Onto archives. It looks like there was probably some agendas in there. Jackson Howard is going to spring to life.
Bring back
shiny Jackson. Yeah. Pull back at least 1 face down card, so that's probably an agenda. But it looks like capital investors. We want that money.
Yeah, it looks like he's going for money.
Caduceus is a card that has been thrown away. That's not actually that good, I think, against a linked up runner.
Right, absolutely.
Trace 2 to end the run.
It's too bad. I love that ice.
Card of the big. It's still really good.
Yeah, it would still be kind of taxing.
Yeah, I've been playing Caduceus with Rutherford Grid. Trace 5 to gain 3 credits, pretty good. Still a 3 strength only piece of ice, but you also play lag time, so...
Yeah, it's still 2 Sabretines against a Mimic, if that's what you're worried about.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And there you go, there's a film critic. It looks like Nadim doesn't want to have to risk dealing with another one of those old Hollywood grids.
Yeah, so it's probably for the best that Scott did not return that to his deck.
Yeah. I just recently realized the flavor of old Hollywood Grid, the idea that, like, you can't steal anything novel and new.
Yeah.
You can only steal the same old thing, like, you know, the sequels, the whole kind of Hollywood idea. It just dawned on me a while ago. And
I love
Old
Hollywood is one of my favorite packs in all of Netrunner
that
I've seen. Absolutely.
Okay. It's super thematic.
The way the theme works together and all of the cards, like,
it's
just, it's so good. It's the pack one of the first packs I recommend to a new player.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because it's got so many cards that work well with the core set.
Okay.
It's got Enforcer, which is just like Archer, which they probably are familiar with by then. It's got Fansight, which is mostly not a great card, but it works with Data Dealer.
Yes.
Which you only play if you're playing core set.
No, I think Data Dealer actually might slowly creep into the meta.
It is good now.
It's getting better.
But
which is awesome.
A person playing just core would see, there's a combo.
That public support is going to only have one of those little glass beads on it, so it is going to become an agenda real soon. If Nadim can't contest that with 5 credits, he could, but again, that would bring him down again. Tempo hit.
Ooh, that's a big server.
So that's a deep server.
Yeah, getting rid of that Mother Goddess makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. The best we could do right on this server is probably 3 different types of ice.
Yep.
You probably want an end run sentry. No, he doesn't have the end run. An end run code gate and end run barrier.
Yep.
Which with one SMC and a clone chip is going to be real expensive to get out, or to be able to deal with. Possible, but expensive.
Right.
However, Nadim does have a stim hack, which is always good.
Yep. Stim hack is, I just want to say, it's one of my favorite cards to play as a runner, because when I was first starting out with the game, it's the card that said, this is what anarchs are all about.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
the ones who get to the finish line missing half their brain, but they will get to the finish line.
Oh, they'll get there in style.
He's trashing public support. And as a corp, there's nothing more satisfying than laying a trap and having them stim hack into that trap.
Yes, it's awesome.
Oh, I got excited just now.
So same old thing and Astrolabe are coming out for
Cool.
zero cost. One thing that's always surprised me in games is the same old thing into stim hack. Which is also a really potent combo. And a lot of times you'll see if the runner has no money, this is my window, go, and you don't expect it. A lot of the times
you forget about what's in the heat.
Yeah, well, because you look at it and you think, oh, you're going to do a Maker's Eye or a legwork.
Right.
You know, those are really good targets.
Yeah.
Another ice on R&D. Hopefully that one can be rezzed. Nadim has put off pressure on R&D for a long time now, which is really
hasn't been getting a lot of
I think he's been building board state.
Yeah.
He just doesn't have the credits, I think, to contest if a nasty piece of ice gets rezzed, and that RDI though would be huge right now.
Right.
So with 11 credits, something is going to go into the remote.
Okay.
It looks like Scott is thinking.
Scott has 11 credits. I want him to have more though.
Yeah, you always want to have more credits.
Oh, that is also true.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm making a lot of tautologies today, and I apologize.
Proco is going to draw cards. One thing worth noting is I usually do card pop-ups for any card that takes a click to make an action. I don't do it for Proco. Basically, anytime you draw a card, it's going to be Proco.
Oh, you could get some cool animation in there with the hands shaking.
Yeah. That would get obnoxious real fast.
It would, but,
yeah. You could do it. So, I don't know, you could stim hack straight into that server? If you're really worried it's an Atlas?
He'd have 13 credits to get in there.
That's a lot.
Scott has the money to res a lot of those, and I think that stim hack would hurt him more than it helps him.
So Nadim could be slightly confident that maybe one of those ices is a Data Raven. You see how I petered out on the confidence on this sentence? But one of those ices could be a Data Raven.
No.
And that's not something that you want to run last click on.
Nope.
Especially with Proco. Especially with knowing what kind of meat damage that deck is.
That's true.
Carrying. Looks like we're going to have a nice deep think about this one.
Hmm.
Because if that doesn't work, like you could run on that remote server, have that Data Raven be rezzed, have that Spiderweb be rezzed, and then just, because it looks like he does have a Maker's Eye in hand, go for R&D.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once the money gets thin, and then put the corp in a really uncomfortable position. I think actually Nadim is running Archives, just to get a Data Sucker token. Another public support. That's the third public support.
I don't play against Scott enough.
Yeah. Man, he really wants everyone to like him. Jeez.
That is not what I meant. That is not what I... You know what? Scott's a great guy. He doesn't have to try.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, maybe he does. He's all right.
So, I don't know if you would. That's the thing. Public support in a 3-ice server.
Oh, it's a public support joke.
Yeah, no, that's a public support joke.
I missed that completely.
Oh, no.
I thought you were being mean.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be mean. No, it's a totally public support joke. And it turns...
That's funny, then.
That's not something you'd contest. I think you just let 1 point go. Another server has been built with something in it, and that's going to give an Astrolabe draw, so I hope that is worth it. Abusing Astrolabe draws actually has this funny anti-synergy with professional context.
That is true.
Hey, okay, it's a prepaid deck.
Oh,
it's official.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry I doubted you.
Yeah, that's fine. I doubted myself. So now those econ events are going to get a bit more efficient. I don't know if Nadim holds
It's pretty late
out.
in the game. Maybe
Still fine.
It's still... Yeah, you're right, it's still fine. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it is late in the game, all things being said, but that is okay.
The longer this game goes on, the more I like how Nadim is using those click tokens to represent... He's putting click tokens on the things he installs or uses.
Super elegant.
So nice.
I appreciate it. I've tried to do that in a couple games, and I just get, focused on the game and
I will
forget
always
about
lose
it.
track.
Yeah. I've started more in Netrunner to actually track my opponent's clicks than myself. I think it's usually easier.
Okay.
Especially if I'm corp, it's easy to count to 3.
That's true. On your turn, you're not... On their turn, you're not doing as much.
Yeah, you're just watching them.
You have the mental space to do that.
Yeah, and you just say, I'll watch you, you watch me, and then we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
R&D run, Archives run with the Dirty
yeah.
Laundry is really efficient. You get a Data Sucker counter. You get to use that prepaid. You want to, again, like the Kate ability, use that prepaid credit once a turn if possible. And let's see what Nadim can conjure up. He does have an R&D. I mean, he does have a Maker's Eye, and he also has a legwork. There's a new remote. You could check that out. That would be a real bluff of an Atlas.
I don't want to say it because that's what I hope it is.
I really do hope it's that. Behind a single piece of ice? That could be cool. Could just be
We've seen in previous games that Scott has bluffed agendas out before.
Scott is
I feel like he's pretty good at that.
Particularly good at knowing what the Corp will do. And as much as Prepaid Kate is a good deck, obviously, I think that is a benefit you have as a corporation is that you can expect what's going to come and expect how they're going to play.
Right.
Which does allow you an opening to like capitalize on expectation.
Sure.
That card in that server has not been rezzed. I would be pleased personally if that was like a CVS.
Oh yeah,
that was
nice,
waiting for an
just the
admin
right
to
moment
crash
to
into
ruin
it.
that data sucker.
Yeah.
The timing works on that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to res it on the approach, which would still give you the ability to like SMC or clone chip something out.
Yep.
So it's not beautiful, but it is annoying.
Yep.
We've hit the mid to late game. Shaper has money, Shaper has clone chips, SMC, and Shaper obviously has the good breakers.
Yep.
What can Wayland do?
Wayland might have a trap.
I think you need to land a really good trap.
Yep. A trap like Shattered Remains, which we talked about earlier.
Shattered Remains would be good.
That would be
Ghost
so
Branch
good
would be good. Could be a cleaners considering the way that the deck is built with the meat damage. Looks like that we've had Jackson draws and we've had no real momentum for a while.
Yep,
so legwork is pretty good right now. Nadim did very smartly check archives. Well, yeah, he did check archives to see if there's agendas trashed. Knowing that the no agendas are trashed means that there might be an HQ.
Right, so we see a Caduceus.
So Nadim could pull back that Mimic that he threw out early game.
Is this the second ice res of the game?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good, awesome. Brings a Mimic out. Okay.
So Mimic is coming out. That breaks it for 2 credits.
Yep.
5 MU, we are okay, and we're going to access 3 cards from HQ, get a Data Sucker token at the same time. This could be pretty big. I think there's agendas in there.
There's got to be at this point.
So another Mother Goddess, that's Scorched Earth, which we've seen time and time again, and the Punitive. Wow.
He's accessed so many cards.
He has.
I feel his frustration.
Something really interesting is that all these meat damage cards, Scott is choosing to hang on to.
Right.
Which
he might have something.
Could mean that he has something that will get around the flat screen, or could mean that he doesn't have anything drawn better. One or the other.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I'll be frustrated if there's a double flat screen and I'll just bin the Scorches.
Right. Yeah.
Which also is really cool if the runner sees that you bin the Scorches because they think, oh, the meat damage play is off.
Right.
And then maybe you can like pull them back or do something real tricksy with that.
Like with the Shattered Remains with the Taurus.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And then they run less, with less
That's what focus. Everyone's favorite thing about Netrunner is the mind games you can play with your friends.
Yeah. With your friends, yep. Looks like Nadim is going to poke that R&D. 5 credits. We'll see if that second ice gets res, because the first one probably is not, knowing how the early game went.
If he didn't res it when he had 10 credits.
Probably isn't going to now.
Unless he's crazy.
That'd be great. Cards.
Third Atlas, no!
And that's the last Atlas. So that does change how you're going to play.
It does, yeah.
We're on 5 agenda points once that swoop comes in. So this is game point. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
This is a big deal for a couple reasons. Firstly, if Wayland is running traps...
Oh, that deck is getting small, too.
That deck is getting real small. But the runner has to run. Like, if you install behind 2 pieces of ice, install advance, the Corp has to bite.
Right.
Well, no, actually, no. The Corp doesn't have to bite. That's the total opposite. What am I talking about? Hey, the public likes Scott.
Yep.
Public support coming in.
I get the joke now.
Yeah,
it's really
was
funny.
A joke, yeah. And that is 3 agenda points. Now Scott finally has fuel for the Enforcer, for the Archer. So I think R&D Ice are now going to be rezzed. We still don't know what that card there in that server is. No idea what that is.
I still hope it's an agenda, though. It'd be so lovely.
The slow con?
Yep, the slow con.
The real slow
He just installs
roll.
a hostile takeover.
Yeah.
Lets it sit there and roast for 24 hours. Get a really nice pull on that.
So you also saw Nadim did not use that the film critic.
No, that's true.
I don't think he needs to.
He's not scared of punitive.
Mid-seasons could be a thing in theory.
That's true.
If Scott managed hedge fund mid-seasons, I guess. But yeah, he didn't use it. I don't blame him.
I mean, even a punitive for 2 damage.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
it turns
I
off punitive too, but
yeah.
punitive for 2 damage is you can just shrug it off. So we're in an interesting situation. We are now sitting on game point for the runner. The corp has a bit more to go. Jackson's out there, and I think, well, Scott did Jackson draw, which means the top cards of R&D are brand new fresh.
Yep.
With a Maker's Eye in hand, Nadim could really go for it. We'll see what can happen here. And you know how few breakers? I guess that speaks about how few ice have been rezzed right now.
Right.
Not a lot. Not too much at all. I think Nadim still has a Maker's Eye in hand. You can go and access a lot of
He's
points.
got Maker's Eye and the same old thing still on the table, unless I'm mistaken.
That's true. In theory, you can Maker's Eye, pop Jackson, Maker's Eye.
Ooh.
That's a good turn.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. It looks like running on Archives is going to get a Data Sucker token and pop the Jackson. So I don't know, maybe Nadim could have gone for that, could have ran R&D first.
Maybe. He only has 5 credits right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
But then again, Scott has not rezzed either of those pieces of ice, so maybe they're not that worth it.
And the thing is, with Sucker Atman, you only are scared of high strength ice. I think Scott is considering that, and then Nadim says, I have Film Critic. And Scott's like, oh yeah, he's right, yes.
Right,
yes,
this would be crazy.
This is not good. And we're going to reconsider. If another public support goes in, I'd be super pleased.
Right. That deck's getting real small. That public support is not going to be a useful card, but I would still love it if it got out there.
We've seen 4 or 5 public support this game already, and we're doing it.
Yeah. Public support.
That's awesome.
Never-ending public support.
Yeah. Hey, if the people like you, the people really like you. Jackson Howard is going to shuffle those cards back in. So R&D is probably maybe 15 cards, I'd say, from that. So I think you poke R&D at this point. 7 credits. We'll see what Scott can do. We're on game point right now. We still haven't seen much of the agenda composition of Scott's deck, whether he's running... I would assume there's 3 pointers in the deck, considering punitive.
Probably.
Maybe even a Vanity Project, government
that'd be fun.
takeover.
That'd be a good one.
I think those are really good cards with...
Vanity Project would be awesome right now.
Yeah, that's kind of the one that Scott wants to score.
Mm-hmm. In fact, if he could bluff that with the Shattered Remains, install next turn 3 advancements...
Real good.
Oh, I'd be so happy with him.
Lucky Find is going to come out. Use that prepaid credit. That is going to be 7 credits for 2 clicks, which is unrivaled economy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think at this point, Nadim is playing really well. He's putting on the pressure.
Yep, and he's being patient. He's not.
Yeah, he's not doing
not being
the kind of
too stressed. Yeah, he's not stressed.
Yeah,
he's letting Scott make a move and then taking advantage of those moves
because he knows he can react to it. Yes,
right.
Maybe the 3 ice server is a bit much. But if Scott can res 2 or 3 of those ice on the 3 ice server, R&D is toast.
Right.
And I think this is a really important and very good play against Wayland. I think Nadim has had a lot of practice against Wayland.
Yeah.
Understanding that even at 5 points, there's no need to break your back and install advance in the server. This is game time. Oh my.
Stim hack?
Yeah, remember there is a stim hack.
Oh no.
That could be quite rough.
Yep.
And that's the thing is that's 3 barriers. That's actually really hard to deal with. Because you have to
really
pull out
rough.
a lady, and then mid-run you have to trash the lady to clone ship the lady.
Scott doesn't have the money for that kind of red.
He honestly
even
doesn't.
3 ice walls wouldn't be enough.
Advance with 5 credits is nuts.
But maybe he's counting on Nadim thinking that that's nuts.
So Nadim is
thinking that's nuts.
Nadim thinks this is nuts.
Yeah.
And thinks the safer line of play is just to go for the Maker's Eye.
I agree with him.
Yeah,
because
I'm fine with that.
Even if that's...
And
yes!
That is it. That is the card
Yay!
that has been avoided to be res the whole time. This is click 1, I believe, from the runner. So Nadim does have some options of what he wants to do with that. And with Atman and 1 Data Sucker token, that is an Atman range. And now Nadim has to read all these wild subroutines to see what matters.
Mm-hmm.
The really cool thing at this point is that the Trash One program and Trash One console, the Trash One console is basically also Trash One program.
Yeah.
Because of the maxed out MU.
He would use SMC right away. I
guess you would SMC at that point. It looks like Trash One program and 1 brain damage are going to be broken for sure, and the console. Nadim,
I think he's using Data Sucker tokens.
Yeah, he used 1 Data Sucker token to bring it down. Nadim surveyed his resources. None of those are virtual.
Nope.
Shaper's hanging out in the real world. And 4 cards. Okay, we're holding
You're still
out for
in
now.
there. You're still in there.
We're totally still in here. And that's the spiderweb that we need. And ooh,
fantastic.
All right. So now Nadim might have to address the install advance.
Yep.
He just might have to. Scott is down to 4 credits. He can't res more than 2 pieces of ice.
No.
I'm surprised if he can res more than 1.
I honestly have no idea what that is. Nothing would make me happier than a bluff.
An aggressive secretary.
Oh, Plan B into hostile takeover.
Yeah, Plan B, huh?
I played against I lost a game against a fantastic Plan B play at another BD Cosmos event.
No way.
And yeah, it was great. I ran against it with 2 advancements. He used Matrix Analyzer to advance it once more. I think, what's the harm?
Yeah.
It was an Astro in disguise.
Same old thing is going to pull out the legwork.
Oh, man.
And this is the surgical precision. And also, you can tell Nadim doesn't want to check the remote.
He still thinks that remote is crazy. It's great.
Yeah, it's a crazy remote. Mimic is going to bust through that Titan. And Nadim does have 1 click left. So if he needs to, like, check that remote, he can. We got that Mother Goddess scorched. And if we see, like, a punitive.
Still holding on to those scorches.
And that's the Archer. Okay. Well, okay, Scott wipes a bit of sweat off of his brow.
Yep.
And this is the last click.
It's one of those games that it's very tense, even though a lot of it's based on chance, right? Like, it's crazy that Nadim has not won.
Nadim's access is on R&D. He's seen, like, maybe 15, 20 cards and seen 1 point.
Yep.
1 agenda point. And yes, there's not many assets and many trashables. That obviously helps in the deck construction. But do you stim hack into the server? Do you just walk in? He only has 5 credits. If that is
oh man,
if that is an NAPD, he does have the film critic. Oh man, I think I think this might be desperation play. I don't know. Okay, we're doing it. You can't take back that hand chop, can you? I think the hand chop is launched.
I think that's universal.
Yeah,
sign
yeah,
for,
that's in.
I'm doing this. No stim hack. Just 5 credits versus your 4 credits.
5 credits for first ice. It looks like no res.
No res on second ice.
And the third ice is a spider web.
Yeah, it is.
So if there's a lady in heap, we can pull that back for 2 credits, break for nothing. If it's with the SMC, we can pull for 4 credits. Let's see if there's a lady in there. It looks like
there is.
Yeah, Clone Chip is going to pull out that lady.
Snowball I saw? No, that's lady.
Yeah, no, there's a lady. There might be a snowball.
I saw some green.
Yeah, all the green.
Just trashing the SMC.
So the SMC is going to get the trash. Maybe not that useful right now. And we're going to pay 3 for that. And that is the yeah, brag.
All right. Well, I love that it was an agenda anyway. It was an
agenda.
Yeah.
I think Scott saw how things were going to go with that R&D pressure, with the breakers, with the film critic. That's actually a huge problem.
Yep.
That was a desperation play, which almost came down to the last click.
Yep.
I think that was scary. There could be a lot of bad things in there. That was a corporate town in that server.
Oh, cool.
That's really cool. I think you might res that. I don't know. I think if he maybe got something with the film critic, you could res that and then Jackson away.
I love that he got to res the Enforcer.
Yeah. Yeah, Enforcer didn't do as much as probably anybody would have hoped it to do.
Right.
That's the problem with being able to break it. But otherwise, that would have been like 3 clicks. Or I guess you could mimic Data Sucker it for some money too.
Yeah.
But good game. So that was crazy. That was real rough. For this, I think Shaper was fully in control for most of that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But Scott was playing pretty well.
Yeah.
He made some good plays. Some plays I didn't understand at first, but in the end made a lot of sense.
Yeah, you could see what he was doing, which is really exciting to see.
I really like that.
So, hey, thanks so much for watching. The next 2 games that are going to be uploaded are still this top table. So Nadim has won 2 games and at the top table. I, luckily enough, also have won 2 games. So I'm actually going to be appearing up here on camera.
Oh, aren't you lucky?
Oh,
aren't we lucky?
Aren't we lucky, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned.
Catch Dragons Den on CBC. Bye, guys.
Ciao.